Good morning. This is Amir 5858. I am Amir Budnam. I am thankful to all news resources and my team. Following are the news which have been reported by American, European, Canadian, Asian, African, and Australian channels, and of course AP, AFP, and Reuters news agencies. Now the headlines. Israeli bombing in northern Gaza at least killed 40 Palestinians. Exchange of fire between Israeli forces and Hezbollah of Lebanon on Lebanon border. Thousands of people protested in Israel for elections. Russian missile attacks killed 3 people in Kharkiv, Ukraine. Far-right party is ahead in French polls. Electrical vehicle cost or price in Canada. Stanley Cup comeback. Bowel cancer in America. And new treatment. Cost of living in Austin, Texas. Big data, internet, and effect on environments. Extreme heat conditions in America and wildfire in New Mexico. Arkansas shooting suspect in court. Now the news in detail.
Tonight on PBS News Weekend, the rising number of bowel cancer cases and the promise of new treatments on the horizon. Then what's behind the lack of affordable rentals in Austin, Texas, even as rents there are dropping? And how our appetite for big amounts of internet data has even bigger costs to the environment.
Researchers think they're in the top 10 water-consuming industries in the U.S. They use 2% of the electricity in the U.S., which is a lot. And a source told me that data center campuses can use the resources equivalent to a small city.
Major funding for PBS News Weekend has been provided by... Thank you.
Good evening, I'm John Yang. It's a tale of extremes across the United States. Oppressive heat, wildfires, and flooding hitting many parts of the country. From the Midwest to the East Coast, millions of people are searching for relief from record-setting temperatures. In many places, it feels hotter than 100 degrees. And it's only the beginning. The heat wave is expected to last all weekend, affecting people from the Ohio Valley to the Mid-Atlantic and prompting health warnings.
I don't know how long it's going to continue. It's just horrible.
You have to be outside for only a minimal amount of time, as much as needed. Definitely drink a lot of water, always stay hydrated.
The extreme weather is affecting travelers too. Amtrak warns customers that some Northeast Corridor trains are traveling at slower speeds because of the heat. That's causing delays of up to an hour. In the west, a wildfire in New Mexico has taken root and spread quickly. Residents said an orange and black haze quickly filled the skies. The village of Ruidoso ordered residents to evacuate. The town's mayor said entire neighborhoods have been destroyed. And in northeast Iowa, a different kind of extreme weather. Weeks of rain have sent the Rock River overflowing its banks, forcing people out of their homes. An Arkansas man is facing capital murder charges stemming from the grocery store shooting that killed 3 people and wounded 11 others, several of them critically. Police say 44-year-old Travis Eugene Posey opened fire yesterday inside the store in the small Arkansas community of Fordyce. It's about 70 miles south of Little Rock. Authorities say Posey only stopped firing when he was wounded in a gunfight with police that injured 2 officers. The death toll in Gaza climbed higher today following 2 Israeli airstrikes on separate locations. One hit a refugee camp and another struck an eastern neighborhood of Gaza City. Palestinian and hospital officials said at least 39 people were killed. Israel's military said they were targeting 2 Hamas military sites. And in Tel Aviv tonight, thousands of people rallied to demand new elections and call for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reach a deal to bring hostages home. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia has launched more than 2,400 guided missiles at Ukrainian targets this month alone. His remarks followed a deadly day of attacks that killed 3 people and injured dozens more in Kharkiv, that's Ukraine's second largest city. Zelensky said Ukraine needs more help from Western allies. And a new chapter in an unsolved mystery. Las Vegas police said they removed a tall monolith from a remote part of the Nevada desert. They said the 6'4" structure was a public safety and environmental hazard. Just how it got there is anybody's guess. It's the latest in a series of mysterious monolith placements around the world since 2020, including in the Democratic Republic of Congo and in Turkey. The Nevada monolith, made of sheet metal, rebar, and concrete, is being held at an undisclosed location. Police are trying to figure out how to best store it or dispose of it. Still to come on PBS News Weekend, struggles renters in Austin, Texas are facing as they hunt for affordable housing, and the big environmental cost of big data.
This is PBS News Weekend from WETA Studio.
On this Saturday night, on the cusp of an historic comeback. One more win to bring the Stanley Cup home, and the unlikely high school yearbook prediction.
My favorite team in the world, the Edmonton Oilers, will win the Stanley Cup in 2024.
That made this man a celebrity. Keeping inexpensive Chinese electric vehicles out of Canada.
What we need to do is slow them down over the next 5 years.
How that could dash the hope for affordable EVs. The rise of hate crimes against Jews and Muslims. What the head of the RCMP says can and should be done about it. And risky rescue.
It fell in the lake, right there. It's stuck between the float and the dock.
The situation that could have cost the rescuer his life.
Global National, reporting tonight.
Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. In an historic comeback, the Edmonton Oilers are headed to Florida for the last do-or-die game in the Stanley Cup Final. It has sent fans into a...
Tonight, the dangerous extreme weather across the U.S., the unrelenting heat, and now life-threatening flooding. States of emergency. Parts of Iowa underwater as floodwaters overtake entire communities. Residents were rattled awake by sirens and rushed to evacuate.
We could not get them out fast enough because the water kept going up so fast.
Plus, nearly 100 million baking across the U.S. ER visits skyrocket. Rip currents turned deadly. At least 7 people killed or missing after being swept away off the coasts of New York and Florida.
This is the tragedy. This is another parent's worst nightmare.
What you need to know before your next trip to the beach. Police identify the alleged gunman behind the supermarket rampage in Arkansas. 3 killed, 10 injured. What authorities revealed about his motive. Former President Trump says he's made his choice for vice president, but hasn't told anyone yet. NBC News reporting on his final 3 contenders. A massive cyber attack crippling car dealerships nationwide. Why it may be much harder to get the car repaired. Powerful new images. The hiker lost in the mountains of California for 10 days.
Immigration.
How is debate prep going?
Well, President Biden has hunkered down at Camp David for intensive prep sessions led by former Chief of Staff Ron Klain that will include mock debates. Playing the part of Mr. Trump is former White House counsel Bob Bauer, who took on the same role back in 2020. The president looking to focus Thursday night's debate on abortion rights and what his campaign says is Trump's record of undermining democracy. Tonight, Trump saying his yet-to-be-named running mate will be at the debate and that he's made his choice but hasn't told anyone who it will be.
In
my mind, yeah.
Sources tell NBC News the focus has been on 3 top contenders, each with a history of being critical of Trump. Florida Senator Marco Rubio ran against Trump in 2016.
What we are dealing with here, my friends, is a con artist. He is a con artist.
Before entering politics, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance adamantly opposed Trump.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
And North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum briefly ran against Trump for this year's nomination.
Would you ever do business with Donald Trump? I don't think so. Why? I just think that it's important that you're judged by the company you keep, and You just wouldn't do business with him? No, I wouldn't.
All 3 VP contenders are now loyal allies of the former president. Sources say the campaign wants a candidate who won't overshadow Mr. Trump, but also someone who could be the future of the Republican Party.
Dasha joins us now from a Trump rally in Philadelphia. Dasha, what have we learned about when Mr. Trump may announce his running mate?
Jose, the campaign is still deciding whether to announce before or after sentencing for his conviction last month. Sentencing is set for July 11th, just days before the Republican National Convention. Jose?
Dasha Burns in Philadelphia, thank you. And you can watch that first presidential debate Thursday night right here on NBC. A trip back to Earth has been delayed for 2 American astronauts aboard the International Space Station. Astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams blasted off on Boeing's Starliner earlier this month. Were supposed to return last week, but they're staying to study some technical issues that developed with the spacecraft, so the Starliner is now scheduled to head home next week.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Please join me in welcoming the new leader of the Alberta NDP, Naheed Nenshi.
Winds of change in Alberta. Former Calgary Mayor Naheed Nenshi has been named the new leader of the Alberta NDP.
Here we go.
A man has been charged after 4 people were shot just north of Toronto. 2 people were killed in the incident, including a toddler. Exciting night in sports. 3 straight wins have Oilers fans dreaming of a Stanley Cup parade as Edmonton prepares to play for the NHL's top prize in Game 7. Good evening and welcome to CTV News Channel. Thanks for joining us. I'm Akshay Tandon. A change of guard in Alberta NDP. Naheed Nenshi has been...
All right, fair enough. I get you. While SF goes down the tubes, a word about dudes with boobs. Our video of the day comes to us from a Democratic mayoral debate in the nation's anus, San Francisco. SF was just named the country's worst-run city, but Mayor London Breed had a higher priority, asking a fellow candidate to name 3 drag queens. Roll it, Gladys.
You were at the debate last week and couldn't name any drag queens on your own. I was wondering if you could, this is an opportunity to redeem yourself, and if you could name 3 LGBTQ advisors for your campaign and 3 drag queens in San Francisco.
We're not going to revise the drag queen question from last week.
Well, that sucks. He couldn't name any drag queens? Not Nikki Jizz, Honey Mahogany, Peaches Christ, Juanita Moore, Vanilla Meringue, Fatima Rude, or Mother Chaka? Wait, I'm not done. And what about the lesser-known drag queen, Loretta Kudlow?
You're going to kill him.
Seriously, it proves how unserious Democrats are when faced with serious problems. Forget fentanyl, crime, homelessness, and taxes. If you don't know who your damn essential female impersonators are, you don't deserve to run a city. Anyway, here's some advice to that fellow candidate, Mark Farrell. Next time you're asked that gotcha question, simply respond with, I can't name them, but I can name the city's recent murder victims. I can name a dozen businesses that have fled the city. Hell, I can name a few people living in tents outside this building. I can also name the worst city in the country to live in because of you. It's SF. I would suggest dropping the microphone after that, but a homeless guy would probably steal it. Elizabeth, I get it. It's San Francisco. They have a tradition, but they have a lot of problems. I mean, would you not vote for a mayor because he doesn't know his drag queens?
I totally wouldn't. I don't want an uneducated bigot representing me. I don't know why you would. Look, it's simple. If you can't, off the top of your head, say RuPaul, Trixie Mattel, or my favorite, Alaska Thunder, probably shouldn't be running anything in the country. Yeah.
I also love Alaska Thunder.
Alaska. One of the few things that have come from Alaska that you like. Kat, you want to compare yourself to drag queens.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm dressed in drag right now. And every day.
Yeah.
Between the chest padding and the fake hair, absolutely. Actually, I have had friends borrow my bras to do drag before, so that's not really a joke. But anyway, I love drag queens. My issue, if I was asked that question, would be like, how do I narrow it down to 3? I love drag. It's something that I'm interested in, that I enjoy. But this guy, because he's not interested, his hobby happens to not be the local drag scene. That doesn't mean that he's like homophobic.
Yeah.
And also, when she was like, name the gay people on your staff, that was super weird to me.
Yes.
To be like, name your gays. Like,
yeah, it's true.
That's if anybody would ask me that, I don't think I could talk. I would just like sit there and be very uncomfortable. It's so weird because there's so many because you're not interested in a particular art form. That doesn't mean that you're, not supportive or an advocate or an ally to an entire community. That's absurd. And apparently she brought it up again because she really thought she ate the first time.
Yeah.
San Francisco, again, there's poop everywhere. Probably got bigger things to talk about.
Exactly. A lot of poop there, Tyrus. It's almost like where they used to ask politicians if they knew the price of milk.
Yeah.
Now it's in woke America. It's name your drag queen.
There's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
I don't know any drag queens, but if you said name 3, I could just off the top of my head go Cher in the 80s, Cher in the 90s, Cher in the 70s. Can you, any other ones? Strawberry Kiss, Moonbeam Delight, Cherry Blossom.
Yes.
And they would be, yo, how'd you know? He's a married man. He doesn't hang out in late night clubs and strip clubs where most of this stuff happens. It's highly sexualized. So you should be able to, with a straight face, say, no, I don't know any. That's not my thing. This is what I do. But everybody has rights and needs to be heard or whatever. The fact that they're trying to push that as a sticking point, that he's not and brought that life into that's not his moral compass. And the fact that bothers me that he wasn't more fiery to defend that. Like we're seeing this thing where in NBA, everyone's having a fit because the first thing the ball players did when they won was they thanked God. They thanked their faith. And it was, they even edited that stuff because it's okay if your lifestyle, you support drag queens. I have no issue with it. No problem. It's just not my thing. Okay. So, and if you don't, it doesn't mean you're bad. It just means it's not your thing. Just like your thing isn't their thing. So if he said to her, can you name 6 pastures in this city? Then, how dare he ask her that? No, he can because that's his thing.
Yeah.
You got to stop standing up for our things and not be afraid. And
exactly.
I question it.
Morgan, do you know any drag queens and could you name them now?
No, when I did pageants in my early 20s, yeah, for sure. I hung out with drag queens all the time. I mean, who do you think taught me to do my hair and makeup? Yeah, I love drag queens. But at the appropriate thing, like it's not for children. And it's certainly not appropriate for a mayoral debate because as Kat pointed out, there's on the streets of San Francisco. I mean, like so much so that we talked about this before in your show that you need a poop app to avoid it. So I just think, whether you like drag queens or not isn't even the issue. It's about how about fixing this like city?
Yeah.
Literally.
Applause to clean up the
I have another name.
What?
Cher 2000.
All right. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
Tonight, record-breaking heat baking the I-95 corridor while severe weather targets the heartland. President Biden and former President Trump preparing for their debate face-off just days away. And Justin Timberlake down about his arrest. First, more than 120 million Americans across 18 states are under heat alerts. Major cities like New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. breaking records. The dangerous heat index soaring past triple digits. To the west, flood warnings and travel alerts in the nation's heartland. A levee breaking near Sioux City, Iowa. Evacuation orders issued. Roads washed away. A state of emergency declared. Morgan Norwood from New York and our weather team timing out the forecast. broadcast. New details in the mass shooting in Arkansas that claimed 3 lives and left 10 people wounded. What we're learning about the suspect and the reaction from those who knew the victims. Countdown to the earliest ever presidential debate. How President Biden and former President Trump are getting ready for the big night. The difference in their strategies. The urgent search for 2 teens caught in a riptide at a New York City beach. One of the parents speaking out. The incident coming days after a couple drowned in Florida, and dozens of people were rescued from North Carolina beaches. Plus, the details just coming in about 3 more fatalities linked to rip currents along the Florida coast. The months-long nightmare ends for an American tourist arrested in Turks and Caicos, reunited with family back home. Justin Timberlake breaks his silence after his arrest on DWI charges, what he told his fans while on stage. The dueling porch pirates outside a Pennsylvania home caught on camera. Prince William shakes it up as Taylor Swift takes London by storm. And America Strong tonight, a young man's story of perseverance back in the water a year after a devastating accident.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World.
You're watching Night Watch on France 24. I'm Alexander Orcott, and these are our top headlines. Dozens more Palestinians are killed by Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, which returned to the north after a long break. The majority of those injured were said to be civilians, while the IDF says it targeted 2 Hamas military sites. There are further casualties in Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv, as Russia carries out guided bomb attacks. Kiev responds with its own drone attacks on Russia's Bryansk region just across the border. The latest polls give the French far right the lead ahead of the left-wing coalition, and President Macron's centrist camp in third. We're now just a week away from the snap parliamentary elections. Thanks for being with us on the Night Watch at France 24. Our top story this hour: hospital officials in Gaza say Israeli airstrikes in the north of the enclave have killed at least 39 people this Saturday, with rescue efforts ongoing to find survivors buried in rubble. Israel said its fighter jets struck 2 Hamas military sites in Gaza City area, but did not elaborate further. Our correspondent Iris Mackler has been finding out more.
Details are sketchy, but what I've been able to piece together from a variety of sources is this: 2 strikes, one in the beach camp al-Shati, one a bit further away in the Tufah area, and Palestinian Health Ministry, that is the health ministry run by Hamas, is reporting more than 40 dead in those strikes. Unlike in the strikes in al-Mawasi, which in pretty short order Israel said it had not carried out those strikes. We are not hearing a denial from Israel about these strikes carried out in Gaza City, in the north, by the way, something we haven't seen for some time. We have heard from some Israeli websites that Israel was trying to target a Hamas commander, Ra'ad Saad, but we don't have any information as to whether that succeeded or indeed whether that was the aim. I'm only telling you that details are sketchy at the moment, but if this is right, there are dozens more people dead in Gaza today.
That was Iris Mackler with the latest from Gaza. Meanwhile, an Israeli airstrike in eastern Lebanon has killed the leader of the Hamas-aligned Islamist group Jama Islamiyah, according to the IDF. This coming a day after the UN chief Antonio Guterres warned that cross-border hostilities between Israel and militants in Lebanon risked creating a wider conflict. Meanwhile, thousands of people in the streets on Saturday to denounce the government of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Many accused the right-wing coalition of putting at risk hostages for political reasons. The weekly demo started long before the October the 7th Hamas attacks and died down at the outbreak of war, but they're now at their largest since the conflict began. Ukraine has launched attacks on Russia's Bryansk region just across the border, with its governor saying at least a dozen drones have been intercepted and no casualties are reported. This follows shortly after 3 people were killed and dozens injured by Russia's guided bombs on Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv. Nick Rushworth reports.
Ukrainian officials say Russian guided aerial bombs hit a residential building in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, about 30 kilometers from the border with Russia. A part of the building's facade was shattered, several people were killed, and dozens of other people were injured.
This is one more terrorist attack, a precision attack on civilian infrastructure. There is nothing of military interest in this district.
The attack prompted the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to call for more help to deal with the growing threat of such weapons.
Just since the beginning of Jews bombs
attacks on structure in several regions overnight Friday to Saturday.
Here in France, the far right has been on the cusp of power for many years, but voters ultimately unite to prevent presidential candidates from getting power, seen as extreme and dangerous by some. But now, in the parliamentary elections, Marine Le Pen has considerable time and effort softening her party's image to make it more palatable to a broader number of people.
Polls are showing Marine Le Pen's party National Rally, or RN, is near to its snap election.
It's historic because the far right has never been in charge. We've had the right, the left, the middle, we've had it all. So why not them?
She has sought to detoxify the RN's image by pitching it as a defender of family incomes, jobs and French identity. One analyst piece in Le Monde says that the far-right leader Marine Le Pen is demonstrating her desire to soften her approach to reassure those in France who have always opposed her. The article says that includes negotiating with the EU on certain issues rather than going into direct confrontation. It is being seen in statements being made by her protege, the 28-year-old Jourdain Bardella, the current RN party leader and would-be Prime Minister. He said on Saturday that he doesn't plan to question the commitments France has made on the international stage on defence if he takes power, including on NATO. Earlier this week, he tried to shore up his economic credibility by soft-pedalling on costly pledges.
We can feel that he has a desire to appear more serious in front of France's creditors. But that leads him to make contradictions between a high spending platform and a desire to make himself appear responsible in terms of public finance.
Here in Nantes, in western France, on Saturday, 4,000 demonstrators marched to oppose the far right and its Eurosceptic nationalist anti-immigrant record.
Normalization has been a political strategy of this party. They've been organized for 45 years and more, and we're not organized. People don't belong to unions or political parties anymore, so yes, they don't know, they don't remember what the far right really means.
Le Pen's party shift to mainstream concerns has broadened its voter base in France, where politics has become starkly polarised.
Now, the latest sport, and Portugal have become the third team to book their place in the last 16 of Euro 2024, along with Germany and Spain after they trounced Turkey 3-0. Meanwhile, a struggling Belgium side beat Romania to leave all four teams in Group E equal on 3 points apiece. Selena Sykes tells us more.
We've come to the end of the second round of group stage games here in Germany, with three teams booking their spots for the last 16. That's Spain, the hosts Germany and Portugal. Portugal securing qualification with a comfortable 3-0 win against Turkey. The goals are coming from Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes, as well as a catastrophic own goal by the Turks. A pass back going into the back of their own net. Belgium, meanwhile, had a response after their shock 1-0 loss against Slovakia in their opener. The Belgians are getting things started early on with an early goal, just 2 minutes in, and that was put into the back of the net by Yuri Tillemans after a brilliant bit of play from Jeremy Doku and the assist from Romelu Lukaku. Lukaku, who's still yet to score at these Euros in Germany. He's remarkably had 3 goals disallowed so far for offside. Another one this evening, just being offside by a question of millimetres. Still no goals for him at this tournament. Kevin De Bruyne was the one who sealed the win for the Red Devils this evening. The Belgian captain getting the goal, the second goal in the 80th minute, which means that quite remarkably, Group E is all still to play for. All 4 teams are on the 3 points. The Belgians are in the top spot at the moment on goal difference, but Ukraine, Romania and Slovakia all have 3 points as well, which means it's all still to play for in Group E.
And with that, we end this edition. Stay tuned for more world news on France 24.
Lives are at stake. Maggie Beer's Big Mission starts July 9 on ABC and ABC iView.
Today, a manhunt underway in Sydney after a car was driven at a police officer and later set on fire. Israel investigates possible human rights violations by IDF soldiers as dozens in Gaza City are reportedly killed in strikes on a refugee camp. Melbourne back into the top 8, holding off a Kangaroos comeback at the MCG. And Prince William shakes it off with Taylor Swift at her London show. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ruby Cornish. New South Wales police are appealing for information after a car was allegedly driven directly at an officer in Sydney's inner west overnight. Reporter Ethan Ricks has more from Newtown Police Station.
From the information that we know so far, that police were called to reports of a break-in-enter at an underground car park that was in St Peters around 1:15 this morning. And when police officers arrived, they say they were confronted by 2 male adults and they quickly jumped.
It's 11 a.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 8:30 in New Delhi and 10 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Ilakia Selvaraji at this hour. Gazan officials say Israeli airstrikes kill at least 38 people in the territories north, a day after the International Committee of Red Cross said 22 people were killed in shelling that damaged its office. Southern China braces for floods after heavy rains lash the region. Authorities are stepping up relief operations and more than 50 people have died in recent weeks. China and the EU agree to hold talks on planned EV tariffs, but future negotiations come as Germany's Vice-Chancellor Robert Habeck traveled to China and reiterated Europe's willingness to hold discussions about the levies.
The International Criminal Court revealed an arrest warrant on Friday for a Malian individual accused for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Timbuktu from 2012 to 2013. The suspect, Iyad Agali, also known as Abu Fadal, is believed to have led an Al-Qaeda-linked Islamic extremist group. The warrant, initially issued in 2017, accuses him of various crimes such as murder, rape, sexual slavery, and persecution of women and girls based on gender. The crimes took place in Timbuktu and during an attack on a military base where over 40 Malian soldiers who were not engaged in hostilities were killed. The reason for unsealing the warrant at this moment was not immediately disclosed, but the prosecution office of the court expressed satisfaction with the unsealing, stating that it demonstrates the ongoing commitment of seeking justice for the victims of crimes committed in Mali since 2012, when Malian authorities requested the court's intervention.
Just a week after being sworn in as a member of parliament in South Africa's new National Assembly, controversial opposition politician Ronaldo Gous has been suspended by his party, the Democratic Alliance, after racist videos he made about 15 years ago resurfaced online. Initially, one of the videos was suspected of being fake, but the DA issued a statement on Thursday saying it had established it was genuine. The party says his comments did not reflect what it as an organization stands for, and that Gous will face disciplinary charges before its Federal Legal Commission. South Africa's Human Rights Commission has also said it will be taking legal action against him in the Equality Court.
Monte Village in southern Zambia has about 43 health facilities, but in times of crisis, some residents can't embark on sometimes long journeys for a consultation. Zambia is currently going through its driest agricultural season in more than 40 years. As crops have been wiped out and livestock have died, poverty is deepening. Today, a field coordinator raises awareness on ending child marriages and gender-based violence. The climate crisis has affected women's health.
In times of a crisis and in times of a drought like this, the health of women and girls, especially sexual and reproductive health, is not prioritized. Women may not prioritize going to the health facility in times of a crisis of a drought like this, but instead would prioritize looking for food. So this has the possibility of impacting their health. So UNFPA is supporting Ministry of Health to conduct the mobile clinics, the health outreach activities, so that they can provide these services to women and girls, especially in this situation.
Forced marriages and sexual exploitation exposes women and girls to unintended pregnancies and increases the risk of HIV. This nurse provides antiretroviral therapy, ART.
We are providing ART, we are providing antenatal services, we are also providing children's clinic services, also family planning, in light of part of OPD.
The UN Population Fund is calling donors to increase assistance to keep supporting 60 Safe Motherhood Action Group volunteers, which notably provide 2 national toll-free lines for information on maternal health and gender-based violence services.
Thank you for watching and privilege of your time. This is Amir Shakil 5858. I am Amir Woodman. Have a good life.